Everybody's concerned about money nowadays. Wouldn't you want to be able to retire early?
Today, we're sitting down with someone who's on track to retire by 40 years old. All right, everyone, so today we are sitting down with a local Las Vegas legend, in my opinion, the Josh Galindo. And we're gonna get into so much that Josh has done in real estate here in Las Vegas. But before we do, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss a video. All right, Josh, well, first of all, thanks for coming here and thanks for talking to us today.
Of course, my pleasure.
We
Thanks
really
for having me.
Man, it's good to see you.
I know.
It's good to see you here at the Boeckle Brothers
Right?
office.
It's a beautiful space. You
Thank
guys
you.
did a great job.
Thank you. Well, the reason we wanted to have you on here today is because a lot of people understand that financial freedom in real estate through rentals is one of the best paths forward. We wanted to bring you in because you're a testament to exactly that. You've built up a lot of rentals. You're still working on it.
Yeah.
And I don't know where the ceiling is for you. There might not be one. But you're on your way to a really killer monthly passive income.
Yes.
We want to talk about that today and how you made that happen.
Just to tell the viewers out there who are watching a little bit about you, you own now 30 rentals.
33.
33 rentals.
Yeah.
25 of those are free and clear. Means he owns them with no debt on them. So let's go back into your housing situation. You flip how many homes a year?
I mean, my highest year was 123. My next highest was 118. This year, if I'm just talking about flips, it was
So casually throwing around 3-digit numbers here.
Those were my young years, man. I look back and I'm like, I was working way too hard,
It's
way
a
too
grind,
hard.
but you built a good business.
It is a grind.
How many in 2021?
60 at the moment, and I think we'll probably pop another 3 or 4, so maybe 64. But that's just flips. We
beat Josh.
Did you guys do more?
Numbers.
We beat Josh.
Well, I signed 14 deals. I did 18 retail deals.
So some wholesales in there.
Yeah, so
Nice.
a little bit more than that. I'm trying to get to 100.
That's awesome.
Got it.
And it's
So-
cool to be sitting here today hearing that, because when we first started out, you were the kind of guy that we modeled off of, we looked up to. So it's cool that we're in this position today to sit here and talk on a
love
business level, on a
Yeah.
higher level
Sure.
than 5 years ago when Jesse and I just got into the game. So
Yeah.
What I love
Super
witnessing
fun.
about you guys, you've been so kind to compliment me, but what I love about you guys, because there was a time where you were modeling yourself after me. Obviously, on a personal level, I can get worked up over that component, but
worked up.
really worked up. Well, what it is I work so hard to come up with these
course.
ideas, these things, these tricks, these this, they that, and then and for me to have that knowledge and experience, it required blood, sweat, and tears, and then to have somebody else come in and just duplicate it without the blood, sweat, and tears. A little piece of me is like,
Felt cheated.
yeah. But what I love about you guys, and if anybody were to ask me today, I would say this is what I say: is they found their own lane, which is 100% true in my opinion, and maybe it varies from other people's opinions, but my personal opinion of you two, outside of all of this action, is you two have found your own lane, and you guys are your own company, doing your own thing, and you guys deserve all the credit in the world for the success you've had.
Thank you. I
Appreciate
appreciate that.
So,
Yeah. So
yeah.
we're getting into a little bit about how we started. I think it'd be important, and I think it's interesting to talk a little bit about when you started in real estate, how you got started. You mentioned the importance of mentors, and then I want to get to where you're at today and dive into more of the strategy of how you're taking down these rentals.
Okay, so how did I get in? Well, so first and foremost, what I want to introduce into the conversation here is I'm a big believer that mindset is the key to success. There's a million books out there. Anybody that comes to me and goes, I need to learn how to flip, I need to learn how to do rentals, I need to learn how to, I go, your mind ain't right.
Right.
Because if you're asking me for information when there's 1,000 YouTube videos out there, there's 1,000 Google articles out there, there's 1,000 books you can read, the next person that asks me, I'm going to go, how much research have you done?
Right.
How much, and what that tells me is that, one, they don't have a very strong figured out muscle, probably very weak, because they take the path of least resistance, which is picking the phone and going, hey Josh,
Tell me everything.
I know you're busy. I know you got 4 kids. I know you're running a brokerage and a flipping business, and you got a rental portfolio through the roof and this and that. Do you have an hour you could just give me for free? That was the path of least resistance when they could have said, I have to invest in myself and gone on Google. So one, I'm a big believer in mindset. And mindset means that you will figure it out. You believe in your ability to figure it out. You don't need somebody to tell you how to do it. And then all of these mechanics that we talk about are of value. How many times have you guys had a speaking event where you look in the audience and go, one person maybe at best will use this information?
Always.
Every single time.
Always.
99% won't.
Right.
That's why we're so open to sharing so much information nowadays, is we want to give it to the people. We want to share information and share knowledge because we truly want to help people. But
And I think,
how many people will take that and run with the ball?
Yeah, and it's you guys are investing in this, and there's so much value add that you're providing. But it really, you gotta, I preach that you've got to hone down on your mindset and get right so that your mind is right when you two bring this content to the table so they can go and apply it.
I like helping people that are already helping themselves. Yeah. If I can see that you're already in a lane and you're driving, you're trying, I'll help you steer.
Sure.
But if you're asking me how to get on the highway, no, go ahead and figure that out yourself.
Well, and then all you're doing is enabling that weakness and encouraging them to continue to operate that way. If you don't check them and go, hey, get on the highway first, let me know when you're doing 60, and then I'll jump in and tell you how to do 70.
Right.
First and foremost, I'm a high school dropout. I never went to college, and I don't have a dad. I have a physical dad, I just don't have a dad.
Got it.
Okay? Those are all blessings. It forced me to use my figured out muscle because I didn't have a degree that somebody would hire me based on paper.
Sure.
You know, most people can walk in with a piece of paper and get hired and they don't even look at the person, but they're like, on paper, this guy's great. I didn't have that luxury, so I had to really sell Josh Galindo. That forced me to build my ability to communicate. It forced me to strengthen my figured out muscle. So those were blessings for me. The second thing is and I look at this and I even question my ability as a father, and not question. I question the relationship in a very positive way with my son. Because a blessing that I had was, I watch my son idolize me. He idolizes me. He will do anything I tell him to do. He loves me. And a piece of me, I don't want to lose this as a dad, selfishly speaking, but a piece of me wants him to explore out and find other mentors. Because I'll go through them. I was a complete wreck growing up. Okay, I was a complete wreck.
A little bit of a rocky past.
The funny thing is Josh, you actually went to what was it? A juvenile.
It was a lockdown facility in Mexico. I was actually kidnapped out of my bed in the middle of the night. I was put in 2 knee braces because on the checklist, my mom says, is he fast? Is he aggressive? Is he? And she checked because I ended up becoming an escort. So I learned what the checklist looked like years down the road. Anyway. They put me in knee braces so that I couldn't run. They put me in a rental car. They drugged me to the airport. I walked to the airport like on stilts, and then threw me into an airplane, flew me to San Diego, rented another car, drove me an instant out of Mexico, opened up this gate of 18-foot walls all made of concrete. I walked in.
I've seen the place.
Have you?
I saw it. Remember I dropped my sister off at it.
Oh, that's right. So you understand.
Yeah, my sister
I forgot.
went to it.
Man.
Casa by the Sea.
Then you totally get it. You get it. That is a very special connection.
I feel left out here that I haven't
You should, because that's special.
You're talking about a prison in Mexico for kids.
Yeah,
for bad
absolutely.
kids.
Yep. No talking without permission. No going to the bathroom without permission.
So it's behavioral correction.
Yeah. So it was behavioral correction, but I went to that school to get straightened out. But in that school, I met my first mentor and understood the value of having a mentor and identifying a mentor and then investing in the relationship from the mentor.
From that school.
From that school. Well, the guy that ran it, because I progressed and got close with him and learned a lot from that. But I think that what I just said there is where the value component lies, is if everybody's uber conscious of what they're experiencing, they get every single thing that they want. The universe is constantly giving you everything that you want. It's just, are you consciously aware of it and are you investing in that component that you need at that time? So when I said that was, if a mentor is in their lives, unless they need it, it won't show up consciously. And so if they need it, they need to vocalize that they need it, and all of a sudden their universe will give it to you, and then you need to invest in it. So that was a very valuable thing that I learned when I was 16. And so the first person was Jade, and that was in Mexico. And then I got out of Mexico, and I met a gentleman named Joe Kennedy. Joe Kennedy is Ronaldo Taberti's son. So Ronaldo Taberti and Joe Kennedy took me in. You said, how did I get started in real estate?
Yeah.
They're
very well known.
I don't think there's anything else. Commercial gods in Las Vegas. Well said. Took me in and taught me everything. We're very generous with their time, their knowledge, And you got to think I'm 19 at this time. So I'm 19 and being taught by guys that were doing $40 million in and out a month. Easy. Okay, so Ronaldo Taberti, super valuable guy. I still quote him all the time today. Joe Kennedy, extremely valuable guy. The guy's got work ethic like you wouldn't believe. And then there was a gentleman named Chris Ungaro, which was my first investor. He was a total rock star in the finances, and so I got to learn all of that. He was a lunatic on a social level. And then your dads, I was like your parents, but no, seriously. So then Tom and Phil, and boy, have they were very special and have really helped transform my life. And so my point is back to Beckham, my son,
right?
Because he idolizes me. He won't have the opportunity to find 5 amazing men in his life that will donate a little piece of their character to my life. So that is my mentor story.
Cool. So it sounds like you found some good people, helped steer you in the right direction. Now you're into real estate. Now let's just quickly summarize current 2021 Josh Galindo. What kind of real estate empire have you built?
What kind of real estate empire have I built? So I've learned, I mean, just if you go statistically speaking, I believe I've flipped between 750 and 850 homes.
Over how many years?
Since 2008 was the first house I ever flipped.
Okay.
So 2008, 2018, 10, 12, 13 years.
Yeah.
That's how many homes I've flipped, which means I've done double that in transactions, which is where my extensive experience comes from because I've just seen it all. I have a brokerage right now that has 50, 52, 53 agents in it.
And growing.
And growing, yeah. And when I hesitate is I don't know if I want 150.
Sure.
So growing, with the right people. Okay. I have an amazing team around me. I'm so thankful for the people that help me be who I am because the reality is I wouldn't be who I am today if I didn't put good people around me.
It takes a village.
It really takes a village. So I have a big team around me. My wife is a huge component of my business. She runs all of the money on every level for everything. Every agent check that gets cut, every rental income is documented. Every repair for rentals is documented. For every flip, she has to process and go through all of that. Plus our personal finances, etc. She's a freaking beast.
So let me ask you this: when did you start buying? When did you buy your first rental?
So when I bought my first, so let me go into why I started buying rentals.
Yeah. Let's really educate on rentals because I want to know because that's what we're working on right now as well is buying rentals. We bought 4 so far. All of ours are leveraged. I want to know how you bought so many cash. Why you're buying them cash, and how you got started here.
Great questions. So first of all, what I think is important to mention about me and my experience versus I think a lot of the people that are in the business, newly in the business, and when I say newly, I mean in the recent 5, 6, 7 years.
So we're new.
Yeah, I mean, you can call whatever you want, but I've been in the business 15 years.
You're right.
So whatever you want to call, you call me old, I don't care. But
we're babies.
Yeah, well, no. But the difference with me is when I got into commercial real estate at 19, 20, 21, whatever it was, I was watching people spend money like I don't think many have witnessed on the planet because the level of money they were making was so insane. That they could, we would go out one night and they for me, because I didn't have any money, but they liked my company. They would drop $5,000 just on me, wherever it was. My share to be at the table or be wherever it was $5,000. I'd watch these guys pull tens of thousands of dollars out of their pockets and open them up and go. I'll never forget when that thing unfolded and they just peel off and go.
Yeah.
And I watch these guys live huge lives, fancy cars, Bentleys, $3,500 a month payments. $3 million homes, $20,000 a month mortgages, $1 million a month. That's nothing. Sure. That's what some of these guys are making. $1 million a month. That's nothing. That's chump change. Arguably, they were living their lives well, or intelligently, leveraging all of their dirt, which dirt's not a cash flowing asset. So what happens if things go bad? Okay, so think about that. Your tank. So leveraging all their dirt, markers at casinos. I was watching it all as like a child. It was almost like a Beckham watching dad. and 2008 hit, I watched some of the most powerful human beings I'd ever witnessed on the planet, even the big boy that we discussed earlier. They couldn't scrape together fucking anything.
A lot of people did not make it through
Dude,
that.
I was reading news articles at the time about big boys that I'd heard about in the business committing suicide.
Yes.
Right.
Because it was the windfall was so big. I witnessed somebody that I didn't believe could ever be taken down, and thankfully I was blessed enough to be in the office and overheard it on speakerphone. He hadn't gotten out of bed for 7 days. They called his friend, which is who I shared an office with, and he's on the phone, and I heard a man that I believe to be a superhero in tears saying, "It's coming so fast, I don't even know how to stop it. All I could do is just stay in my bed." I even get goosebumps reliving that moment.
It's crazy.
So I watched what happens when the economy shifts. There's a hell of an argument that a lot of the folks that are in business today have only seen the economy go up.
Sure.
And that...
No denying that. There's no
We've
denying
experienced
that.
that.
We've only experienced an upward trajectory. So
Yes.
So there's a few commitments I'd made to myself, and if you guys are planning kids or families, because anything can, when you don't have kids, dude, you come home, if you fucking lose the house, you dump it, you move on, whatever it is. When you have kids, now you've got to really think about other people, obviously.
Of course.
Instability. I don't want Beckham or Kennedy or Kinsley or Jagger growing up, with instability. So, Dad comes home, I fucked up, I did too many, we got to move.
Yeah.
And now we get to move from the Ridges to, an 1,100 square foot, little house.
Right. Yeah.
Like, that's a catastrophic life change for them. And the other thing that I think it does is, which is, I think, to both of your points, is people will replicate their comfort zone growing up. So I want to keep my kids living in an affluent environment, because when they turn 18, 19, 20, their comfort zone is exactly that, and they will go and manifest it and create that in their reality.
Right.
If you raise them
anything short of that is failure.
It's weird. Well, it's not failure. It's uncomfortable. So they're going to force themselves to go and be comfortable again, which is affluent.
Right.
So I don't want my children being raised in a space of lack. Anyway, having said all that, 'cause I thought that was a good point. When I had those kids, I said, I have to figure out this right here.
Yeah.
I have to figure that out.
Navigate through that.
Yeah. And the hard part will come.
Yeah.
I just don't know when it'll come. But when it does, I need to be ready for it. And you know how they do the stress tests on the banks? I don't know if you've ever heard of that. Okay. Well, during the recession, in order for the bank to get back and healthy, and they had to do a stress test on them, and that basically says if 80% of your customers pull their money out, do you fall? Okay, so I felt the pandemic, of course, after navigating it and understanding it, was, I was like, you know what that was like? That was a stress test. And it worked. Because, things stopped. Obviously, we've all benefited.
Did you stop buying?
Yes.
Okay.
Immediately. Well, I had about 800,000 out, and I thought I had, whatever the difference is in profit, but let's just call it, I thought I had 800,000 coming back in.
Right.
And 800 was out, and 800 had just canceled. So I was riding too thin. And the only thing that saved me, allowed me to continue to pay my mortgage, my car payments, my kids' private schools, everything else were my rental income. Now, you want to talk about getting scared, you think you're bulletproof, right? When you have rental income. Well, have Sislak come out and go, hey guys, just so you, nobody has to pay their rent. Just FYI.
That was a tough one.
Oh, when I heard that, I was like, it's back.
Yeah.
I'm going to go through it again.
Is not secure anymore.
Right.
And landlords who weren't set up with other source of cash flowing income, I mean, that did tank people too.
Yeah. Well, and then think of the bank. Well, see, I almost thought you were in better shape if the bank was knocking on your door, because then the bank gave you forgiveness, so you didn't have to pay the bank or.
With them.
Yeah, me, I was like, I don't even get the benefit of screwing the bank. I just the only one that's getting screwed here. But anyway, long story short, I think one of the valuable things is that my wife manages all of my rentals, and because she manages them, she has a personal relationship with each tenant. So each tenant understood that what that money was going towards Crystal, towards me and my children and my family. There's a different level of investment there, and the analogy I use is that if you're at Walmart and you accidentally grab 3 cartons of eggs and they only charge you for 2, you don't walk back in and go, hey Walmart, I only got charged for 2 cartons of eggs and I have 3. But if you were doing it with a little mom and pop shop, if I came to your store and you wouldn't charge me, I would turn around in a heartbeat and go back.
Right.
So I think that's what the tenant's mentality was around these big apartment complexes versus Josh Galindo's rentals.
Okay.
But so I had to figure this out because of the family component that I had, created in my life. So when it first happened was my first investor fired me. And then we got into a big lawsuit. and I'm just going to summarize this to make it quick. I got into a big lawsuit and I won. So it means I was right. So we can move on from that. Okay. But when that happened, my income had stopped. But thankfully I had about $400,000 in the bank. And I was like, okay, what can I go do with that? And so I was like, you know what? Never again am I having another investor, because during the commercial times when the economy tanked, I had to go and look at 10, 20, 30 investors in their eyes and say, hey, I know you guys gave me that $150,000, $200,000 of your life savings, and unfortunately it's gone.
Yeah.
So I said, and so that was very tough for me at 24 years old, 25 years old. And then to go do it again, or then have a beef with my previous investor, I was like, I'm done with partners. So I said, I'm going to take this $400,000, I'm going to go start flipping on my own. Well, then I ran to Tom at the gym.
The very next day.
Like almost the next day. Yeah, I had this huge plan. I'm like, I'm done. I'm not using anybody ever again. I jumped in with him, and then I had $400,000 I was sitting doing nothing.
That you didn't have to use to flip.
That I didn't have to use to flip. And I wanted to focus on his portfolio, and I wanted to build trust and show him that I'm not out here flipping behind his back. So I had $400,000 that I had to go find a home for. I literally woke up, and I went down to the auction. I bought 3 houses cash for $150,000.
Back in the auction
days.
Yeah,
plus a few bucks.
Yeah.
And I came home and told Crystal, and she was like, what?
Spent all the money.
I spent all the money. And she was still cocktailing at Cosmo. So there was many times in my life that I would take it all the way to the edge, and the only way that we were eating that night was based on what Crystal brought home from the casino.
Wow.
And that was one of those moments for a little while. So I immediately bought those, and I was able to produce, let's just call it $1,000 a month each. I was like, $3,000. Well, I was living very modestly at that time.
So you bought those specifically to rent, not to flip?
Yep. I had no intention of flipping them.
You put your 400 out there to work for you now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I knew I had income coming in from the new investor that had a lot more tools and my ability to produce new income. So I was like, why not start building this? Why not start filling this hole? So bought 3. And what I realized, I was like, shit, Mike, this was a much more modest version of my lifestyle. I was like, car payment $680 a month. Okay, never have to worry about that again. Okay,
$3,000 a month's a lot.
Yeah, it was. The car payment was paid.
Yeah.
Crystal's car payment was paid. Yeah, a portion of the mortgage. I don't even know what my mortgage was at that time, but to my point, yeah.
Lower, you know.
Exactly. The thing that I like about rentals is as soon as you bring in that new fresh batch of income, you just apply a bill to that new income. And then in your mind, you say, I never have to worry about it again.
Totally.
So I think that's something that a lot of people miss is instead of taking in, even as flippers, and instead of us taking $100,000 and going and spending it on a truck, let's take that $100,000, go spend it on a property or two, make the $1,000, and then spend that $1,000 on a truck.
Yeah.
Not
There's
the $100,000.
one step
Perfectly
between
said.
financial freedom and never achieving financial freedom. And that one step is not buying what you want directly. It's buying something that will pay for what you want directly.
That's right.
The one just side step will make your whole life so much easier.
Yeah. I think it's crazy when I hear these stories about people go and buy $100,000 vehicles and they put down $30,000 and finance it.
Right.
It's like, what? Like you could have taken the same $30,000, financed a cash flowing asset that now generates $400 or $500 a month, assuming a finance scenario, $300, $400, $500 a month, and then you could have leased the car,
Paid for.
which now you have no downside.
Yeah.
Right.
And then this helps pay for the payment, and this is an appreciating asset that's helping pay for your depreciating asset, of which if it goes too low, you have nothing to worry about because you leased it. Well, then they're returned. Well, what about miles? What about miles? I'm like, do the math on the miles. Have you ever done the math on the miles? Like every 5,000 is like $1,200.
Right.
It's like
not that bad.
Okay, where do I write the check?
Yeah.
You know, we're done with this conversation.
Right. So I think there's an important point that you mentioned when you bought your first 3 rentals.
Okay.
You went out and you paid cash for them.
Yes. Different time, but yes.
Definitely a different time, and obviously
I bought 3 homes for $420,000.
those homes are not that price point anymore.
Correct.
You can't get those. But I think you have a very different approach when it comes to buying, how you buy, and your strategy for acquiring them. So I want to kind of dive into that. Have you continued to buy cash? You mentioned you have some leverage for a specific purpose, but why do you buy them the way that you buy them?
Not everybody has $400,000.
Sure.
You guys are leveraging because you don't have access to that $400,000. You have the $400,000. So I would ask you guys, I don't understand how you don't have the $400,000.
So right now, we're using hard money to buy a lot of our deals.
Got it.
We have a private money partner where we split, which you're familiar with, but we also use this hard money partner to go out and buy a lot of those. So a lot of the funds that we have, and that's in excess of maybe $1 million to $2 million, is tied up in down payments and rehabs to facilitate these flips.
So you guys have $2 million in cash out.
Somewhere around there,
yeah. Call it whatever it is, that's yours.
Yeah.
Great for you. That's fantastic, and that's a beautiful thing, and there's a great argument for that model too. So something that served me very well was I always used investors.
Yeah.
And I never wanted to use my own cash because I didn't want to lose the opportunity to take my cash and buy a rental at a price, because you got to act quick, and the market's always appreciating.
Right.
So I was lucky. I got a lot of ridicule for preserving my cash and using investor cash and then giving them a piece of the action instead of it all going in my pocket. But what that allowed me to do is it allowed me to take advantage of buying at these prices.
Sure.
So, in a nutshell, $20,000 a house, you do 5 houses, you make $100,000. I'm talking, 4 or 5 years ago, you go buy another house.
So that's what it was. It was flip, get enough, buy one. Trade up.
Every time every time I would save 150 grand, which I was doing 2 or 3. I mean, I wish I had the dates on these homes when I bought them. I was buying 2 or 3 cash a year, and then some. Like last year, I bought like 6 cash. And then this year I probably bought 4 cash.
Sorry, we talk about this a lot, just to kind of clarify what we're talking about, because we're talking high level here right now, and people watching may not understand the investor side of things. And we talk about private money a lot on our channel and on our TikTok and all of our social media. We're talking about someone who funds 100% of the transaction. Josh and us, we bring the deal, we bring the entire system to the table to get it renovated and sold, and there's an equity split at the end of the day with that investor. So we're virtually coming out of pocket $0. And that's one way that we always advise people to start investing is find someone that you find, a family, a friend, an acquaintance that has a bankroll to help you invest. You don't need hundreds of thousands of dollars to start investing in real estate. We've both used private money lenders that fund 100% of the transaction, which means we have $0 out of pocket.
Now my next question goes to, back to buying them cash. You have that, you flip, made $100,000,
Yep.
Went out and bought another house.
Yes.
If you leveraged
Yep.
that $100,000, you could probably buy 5 houses.
Yep.
And now you wouldn't cash flow as much. But
well, you would equally cash flow the same. You would just have 5 headaches.
Maybe it would lay out to somewhere similar. Yes.
Well, let's put a hypothetical. Hypothetical debt cash flow on the leverage ones versus the cash ones, just for this conversation.
So let's say that 100 gets you $1,000 in cash flow, and then instead of buying that all cash, you buy it leveraged.
Yep, and you got 5.
You get 200 out of each of those. So it ends up being the same, less per home.
Yep.
But the thing that I think is more beneficial is now you have 5 appreciating assets over time versus the 1.
Okay.
So what do you think in terms of what's stopping you from leveraging some of these rentals to buy more of them?
It's a great question. So first and foremost, I have one headache. We have to just compare each other.
Sure.
Okay? You're you, I'm me.
Yeah.
And these are hypotheticals, not even realistic scenarios. You have 5 headaches. I have 1.
Right.
You have 5 appreciating assets. I only have 1. You have 5 opportunities of principal pay down. So you're building equity faster than I am. I only have 1. So that's a great argument, right? It sounds all super fancy. 1, you're assuming the market's only going to continue to go up. 2 is that you're cash flowing a net of $200 a month. If the market goes down 20%, just 20%, which isn't crazy. I've seen it go down 10%. I've watched it go down.
Yeah, that's considered a recession.
So, yeah,
20%.
Correction.
Yeah,
correction,
give it whatever you want to call it, okay? And whatever correction you want to chalk it up to. But let's just call it 20% because it's easy math. $300,000 house, right?
Okay.
20% down. $300,000 house, 20% market correction.
Yeah.
That house is now worth $240.
Right.
Okay, so this asshole walks in and buys it for $240. Okay, and then you have to put money down too, right?
Sure.
So let's say 20% because you're an average investor. So that's another 50 grand roughly.
Something like that.
So now you're into that house for like 190. You're into your house for friggin' 270. Okay, so your cost to own that house is probably $1,000 a month because we just said assuming rent's $1,200, $200 a month in net profit, $1,000 in debt obligation. You walk in, your cost to own that house is $850. So for him to fulfill his investment desires, he only has to rent the house for $1,000 a month. I'm not doing the math very quick.
Yes,
but call
less.
it $1,000 a month. Okay. So now you list your house $1,000 a month. You get a call from your tenant. Go the knight in shining armor. Listed his house at $1,000. You're charging me $1,200. Either reduce my rent or I'm moving over to Landon's place. So you go, what do I do? Well, you tell him to go fly a kite. You get the next 6 months out of him. But then Landon rents to the next guy for $1,000, sets of comps. Now you go back on the market. Now you have to use his comp.
It's $1,000.
It's $1,000. So now you have 5 homes that you're breaking even on. Let's say you have 1 repair. Let's say you have 1 this, 1 that, whatever it is. But you have 5 opportunities to create more disaster because the housing business is very difficult. It's not a fixed thing. Like you could have a water heater go out on one.
All the time.
Right. That's my other beef.
AC unit's almost a full year of income on that or more.
There you go. And so when people really sit down, that's why I think it's important when you hear these guys say I have 300 homes, and which I went and tested the Mississippi market.
Midwest rentals, yeah.
Midwest. Which I'm going to go back and I'm going to try to figure it out again because I think there's a way to figure it out, but it just takes practice and time and the figure out muscle. But my little toe in the water was I bought a brand new house, $100,000. Well, I don't want to go there. I want to stay on where with you. So you have 5 homes, right? Market goes down. Now you're breaking even on all of them. Market goes down for me. I own mine cash. I went from $1,200 a month to $1,000.
You're still
so I still have a healthy asset.
Yeah.
The second point that I want to make here is that if you're in the building stages of your career, which it sounds like you guys are, where you're watching the appreciation of these homes and then you're selling them, and then your hope would be that it spits out enough cash to go and buy 2 with the equity from 1 because the appreciation was on your side,
right.
Then that's good. I want you guys to continue to do that. That's good for you. At a point, you're going to say to yourself, I don't want to sell anymore. And arguably selling isn't as glamorous as everybody thinks because you have to pay taxes on it.
Of course.
And then if you 1031 it, well, everybody thinks, oh, just 1031, so easy to say.
It's just kicking the can.
Okay.
Taxes later.
Well, you got to pay taxes later, but nobody realizes that there's actually a fee to do the 1031.
Right.
Okay, and then you're forced to shove that money into a property, and if it doesn't fit perfectly, then you got a little money that spits out, and then you still got to pay taxes on that.
Yeah.
And so the 1031 sounds sexy, but there's some movement to it, especially when you're only making 20, 30, 40,000. I don't know if it's necessarily worth it because by the time you write off all of your income and you have a 15% capital gains tax, what are you talking about on 40,000? You're talking about like $6,000. You minus out the cost of the 1031 and the headache that went involved in it. It's like, what are you really saving?
Right. Sure.
That's why I love all this social media, do this shit. It's like, well, let me really break down what a 1031 looks like.
In 5 seconds, it sounds great.
Yeah, it sounds great. You're the guy's the tax genius, But all right, so the other thing that I just want to touch on, and there's no right or wrong, there really isn't. I believe that what you guys are doing and describing, and because you have the ability to buy, you guys are different. You're substantially different. I think we should touch on this.
Sure.
You have the ability to buy below market.
Yes.
Okay. So when this is being preached out to people on social media, which goes back to why I'm an anti-Burr person, which I'm not anti-Burr. I'm anti-Burr the way it's being sold.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's crazy because it's being sold heavier than ever.
Oh my gosh.
Every social media guru out there is Burr, Burr, Burr. There's Burr Bucks. That's what it is. Why do you not like it?
I love the Burr model. I want to be clear. I don't like how it's being sold.
Okay.
I watched the strongest, wealthiest men on the planet that had the bankrolls that would blow your minds, and arguably you guys watch the same thing, lose it all because of too much leverage. So encourage the Burr model. The Burr model is great. It's the obvious model. I love they put this little fancy acronym on it, but it's what every real estate investor's been doing their whole life. They buy a house, they fix it up, or they buy a property, they fix it up, they add value, they rent it out, and then they refinance their money out of it and they move on. All I'm saying is just tweak it a little bit, because when you're telling these people that have zero experience, zero ability to go and buy at a discount, so now they're paying full market value, one, and then they have no understanding of how to properly leverage. They don't have a clue on what it looks like if you get your balls kicked in. Now you just signed that, and then that guy signed himself up for this for not getting educated, but because of the advice that was given without the proper spin, that guy took that information and went and used it incorrectly.
Right.
So all I'm saying is that the Burr model, one, you want to be buying a little bit under market so that you're insulated from a downturn. Two, you want to put down a little bit more. You want to be okay leaving something in the property. When you leverage these things at 90%, if the market goes down, you are fucked. You know why you're fucked? And I want to use that word intentionally, because if you go back to the bank and go, hey, the economy's really bad, so I know the Fed lowered rates even lower than they already were. I need to refi out to get my payment down. They're going to go, what do you owe on it, sir? Oh, you owe $300,000? Oh, it's worth $200. Yeah, you got $100,000? I'll refinance you right now. Yeah, oh, okay, fine. I can't refinance it. Well, I'm going to sell it. Okay.
Well, that's worth $200,000.
It's worth $200,000. Yo, $290.
Yeah.
You're going to write a check to get out of it. You know what I'm saying? So that's the education that I want to be the face of, where absolutely leverage. Why would you not? Just be intelligent about it. And the way that I was intelligent about it, and I'm a super conservative guy, also because I have kids, I have a wife, I'm the only income for the family. If you're not me, I would encourage you to be more aggressive. Okay? Aggressive to a point where you don't sacrifice your livelihood, because we work too fucking hard to get where we're at, and to have an economy steal it from you that fast. You want to talk about like wild thoughts going through your head? I lived it, dude. I sat on the couch next to my wife, pulled my bank account balance up. She was my wife then, and I didn't know she was still going to be my wife after I looked. And I was minus $168. Bank of America, all red, minus 168. My lines of credits were tapped. My credit cards were gone. I had zero money. Zero money.
Scary.
Tough situation.
Scary. Zero. I couldn't pay my fucking power bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you've taken steps to never find yourself in that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Once you touch that water, and if it burns the shit out of you, you're like, I'm not touching that water ever again. And that's what happened to me, and that's why I think some people didn't have to touch the water, which is what a blessing, like, you know. But we should tell them that how to protect yourself. You know, don't touch the pot because it's hot. Yeah. You know, analogy. So okay, so how do I leverage properties? How do I leverage the ones that I have? Is I ask myself, what is the lowest I believe this house will ever rent for?
Okay.
So I'm going to throw a house out at you guys because you guys are smart dudes. Northwest, Cheyenne and 215. Just kind of no HOA, just kind of a cute little neighborhood. You know, just kind of basic neighborhoods they have up there at the top of the hill. 1,400 square foot, single story, 2-car, 3-bed. What do you think it rents for?
13 or 15.
14, yeah.
Okay. So there you go. Let's just say that's it. 14 today. Let's say worst case scenario. Worst economy we've ever seen in our whole lives.
Yeah.
What do you think it rents for?
$1,000.
$1,000. Okay. And who knows if these numbers are right. But $1,000. How much will the bank give me for my payment's $1,000?
Okay. So you leverage up to that comfortable minimum.
There you go. So now I know I will never lose this house, ruining my ability to borrow, which destroying your ability to borrow. Yeah. I'd be worth probably like $60 million. I don't think I'm exaggerating. If I had the ability to borrow, but I didn't because I let 2 houses go to short sale. Like you got to think, I've been in this game since you were buying homes for $55,000. Yeah. And houses for $19,000, and I was smart enough to know how to do it. I just couldn't convince anybody else to believe in me, and I didn't have the credit to do it myself. So because I ruined my ability to borrow, I wasn't able to take advantage of all of those opportunities. So always preserve your ability to borrow. And the way you do that is by properly leveraging so that you never lose the home or you never end up writing a check to own the home. Because if shit gets even worse, for your scenario, let's say the rents go down a little bit more. Yeah. Now you're writing a check times 5
to own those.
Dude, and you gave me a modest number. Like 5 is nothing.
Yeah.
Like these people are going to go and buy 30 of these.
Sure.
Like you might as well just shut the book and just. I mean, you're
so
done.
In that worst case scenario, at least you're breaking even by owning.
Yeah, I love that. So you're just using what's worst case rents. How do I get what do I need to put down to get the payment right there at that worst?
And I think people would be surprised at how much you could actually still pull out. Like if you go buy a $170,000 condo, let's call it a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, whatever it is, no garage or anything fancy, $170,000. I'd say the rent on that will always probably, especially in today's economy, because Vegas is a different Vegas than it was 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
We are big boys today. Yeah. And I think it's going to demand big boy rents and big boy prices to live here.
We have one right now. It's 1,400 square foot, 2-bed, 2-bath off Buffalo on 215. What do you think?
Oh, 3-bed. 3-bed, yeah.
3-bed, 2-bath. Yeah.
1650, 1700.
We're hitting the nail on the head. 1700 is what we're listing it at.
Yeah.
Now, worst case is going to be 1300.
So call it 1300. How much do you get out on a $1,300 payment?
What's our net?
No. How much cash do you think you could borrow from a bank? You have to kind of reverse engineer it for 13.
All our money back out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
On that we could.
So now, if you just use that rule, which is all we're taking is the Burr model, and we're just injecting a little bit of intelligence in there. And if you use my rule that we just all kind of agreed to, you guys get almost all your money out, and you know that you're safe. Move to the next one. Do it again.
It keeps appreciating. You're on the real
and then if
estate.
it doesn't appreciate, you're safe.
Right.
Okay, last thing that I love to talk about here, because as you grow more properties, you're going to say, I'm done selling. I'm only buying. I'm going to just, and that's my model. I'm not going to
just keeping it all.
The best thing that can happen is I give Beckham 160 houses and he's pissed because he's going to be like, dude, my dad like, gave me all these shitty ass old houses, and he's mad at me.
You're working to buy.
Yes, I'm
only working to buy right now.
I'm only working to buy. I will continue to buy in every single market, up or down. And the other thing is that as soon as that cash flow builds, which I have that net cash flow every month that we discussed, and I pay my taxes on it intentionally. If the market changes and my ability to produce new income, ordinary income, my flip income, whatever you want to call it, income, that rental income's still coming in.
Sure.
So now I can go knock on the bank door and go, hey, I'm solid as a rock, dude.
Yep.
I'm going to buy everything. Because I have that guaranteed income. Most people are like, I don't have a job.
Right.
I can't even take advantage of this terrible market because I don't have any income.
That's a good question that we see a lot when we talk about buying rentals is that, well, we're at an all-time high market. And you just said it yourself, is I'm going to buy whether the market's down, low, or in between.
Yes.
And so that's a very interesting point that a lot of people really don't fully understand, is that how can you buy something right now in what seems to be the high end of the market? And I think the answer would be because we have access and the knowledge to buy them at a discount.
Exactly.
And you can still do that today, even in this type of market.
Yeah. And you can. It's just a numbers game. I mean, we were playing the same. We have this very similar models. You know, we just put our rods in the lake and we wait.
Right.
And
there's a lot of them in there too.
There's a ton of them in there. They're all swimming around. You pull out a 6-inch. You go, this would be. I'm going for 8-inch deals, but this 6-incher is not too bad. I might keep this one. And then you put it in the rental pool. You know, or you pull out a 3-inch and you throw it back. Or you pull out a monster and it's the home run of your life. You know, it's just about numbers game. Just keep asking sellers and keep going until you find a weak one. Because people are, well, how do you find all your deals? You know, well, it's not this sophisticated approach. It's I'm a hard worker.
Right.
I'm going to work hard to make sure that I'm touching as many people as I can until I find that soft spot.
We play the game every day.
We play the game every day.
Damn hard.
Yep.
You know, and I know you play it just as hard as the rest of them. I mean, it's just a numbers game. That's what real estate is.
It is. Yeah, you just keep banging until you get the answer you want. So the last thing I want to say is, because I keep going back to it, but all this good content keeps coming out of you guys and I want to tap on it. But equity. Okay. My favorite thing is equity for conversation, because I think when I say this analogy, people are shocked by it. So equity is a bitching right or it's a bragging right, but it does nothing. So let's say my portfolio is worth $25 million. I'm going to throw a big number out there so that, you know, people can speculate on what it's really worth. Right. It's not worth $25 million, but let's just throw that number out there. But it spits out $30,000 a month.
Okay.
So now I get to go to the party and go, dude, guys, I'm worth $25 million.
Yeah.
Well, does that $25 million, can I live like I've got $25 million if I'm only spitting out $30,000 a month?
No way.
No way.
Of course not.
Okay, so now it's a bragging right. I'm the guy at the party who gets to brag about his equity.
So how's it a bitching right?
Fucking market's down, guys. I owe fucking, $25 million.
Are losing money.
Yeah, and I'm upside down on all of them. It's a bitching right, but I'm still making $30,000 a month.
Right.
So equity to me is once you get past the growth point, it's almost an irrelevant conversation because it's not benefiting you. Can I pull my equity out and buy a cup of coffee with it? No. Cash flow is all that matters.
Having it structured that way gives you the ability to go borrow. And
Right.
that's a great thing to take advantage of a market cycle, take advantage of a commercial deal, take advantage of anything you want almost at any time, because you can turn to that equity and leverage it.
Well,
Yes.
what I like about the free and clear thing, I guess the point I'm getting to is, at any point in your life, you could say, you know what, I don't want to be a landlord anymore, or I don't want to be in real estate anymore. I figured something else out. A cash portfolio, you could sell that within a week's time, take all your money out of it, and move on. Versus leverage, if your entire portfolio is leveraged, yeah, the assets may be worth $25 million, but that's 30 years down the road. It's worth $25 million. To us, it's only worth whatever the equity is, which there may be a lot of equity or maybe no equity in these homes. So,
yeah, the market dictates your ability to sell,
right?
Because of the leverage component.
Yeah,
the market has to be up to be able to sell.
You're liquid no matter what.
Yeah, what I felt like, it was a beautiful visual. I was sitting in my backyard and celebrating my wife's sister's birthday. And 30th birthday in my backyard because it was the pandemic, so we couldn't do anything, so we're literally in the backyard. And everybody's talking about the pandemic, so it was very ripe on everybody's mind. And I was like, I think at the time I had 25 rentals. I don't know what it was, 26. And I was like, I got 26 vaults that I can tap into before I lose, because I'm sitting in my space, being in a space of extreme gratitude.
26 swings.
I've got a great party. Yeah, I could open that vault, pull out 250 grand.
Right.
Could open that vault, pull out 250 grand. I got to have a lot of big problems to have my $250,000 vaults run out.
Zero.
Yeah. So I was like really thankful. I was like, man, I am so blessed. And again, back to mindset. I'm a big believer in constantly expressing gratitude, because the universe will always give you back more of what you're giving attention to, which are the things that you're thankful for.
And that's a good way to close out. We like to ask every person that we interview, every successful person that we interview, what is the Josh Galindo legacy look like?
What does the Josh Galindo legacy look like? In a perfect world, I would love to create a foundation or a charity, or however you want to word it, where I can teach children that don't have dads the ways of the world. I'd like to be there for them in a way that their fathers weren't there for them. Second thing is my kids tell stories about me for many, many, many years, and I leave millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars to them, and they go and build it and grow.
Cool.
Not bad.
Great question.
Beautiful.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on today.
Yeah, my pleasure. You guys are freaking awesome.
We
This was
covered
great.
a lot. I'm really glad we got to dive into the rental, the strategy, because I know that's on a lot of people's minds. They're trying to build that financial freedom through rental properties and through passive income. So, just as we are right now. So, thank you. I learned a lot today.
Good.
Make sure you guys subscribe and like the videos, so one, you never miss anything. We're going to have a lot more people on just like this, giving you valuable content.